don't think it's an option to leave and not fight for this country.
There is a reason why the Palestinian protests in Melbourne were the longest running protests in the world.
It's become apparent to me that we have to take things to the next level. I do feel like that is the Great Reset.
Things can flip very quickly.
We actually don't have enough police in New South Wales to deal with this. When it comes to our job in this country, if we were waiting for this think tank or if we were waiting for this politician to step up, it's not going to happen. The hero you're waiting for is you.
How far does this government have to go before we know enough is enough?
The Nationals and the coalition splitting is a big deal because the context right now, as you would have seen with that news poll, was the fact that 53% of the country is voting for either the coalition or the Labor Party, which is insane that only half the country wants them. I think people underestimate how fragile Australia is.
All right, guys, welcome back. We have another great episode. We're joined by Joel Jammal, the head of Turning Point Australia, the man himself, the legend, the myth. How's it going?
Mate, I'm good. It's been a crazy last week. You know, it's just been insane.
Glaze my boy up. Gonna glaze him up. You've done a fantastic job. Tell us what happened.
Well, the government, like 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, the Bondi shooting happens. We all were thinking at the same time. They're going to pass laws. They're going to go after us. They're not going to deal with the root of the problem, which is the fact that this guy's father was from the south of India. He was a Muslim that was radicalized. He potentially touched base with ISIS in the Philippines. We don't know. But they're going to pass laws to somehow go after right-wingers. They're going to say we're bigoted. They're going to say we're hateful. We're anti-Semitic. And that's precisely what happened. They decided to go and pass a bill that further tightens the noose on us. And it doesn't seem like that's going to be the last of it. They're talking about already passing more pro-Islamist ideologies, bills to protect them and those sermons, but also they're going to pass LGBT protections as well, so, because they're not militant enough, dragging people like, there's a whole bunch of Christians that have been dragged through the courts because of the LGBT lobby, like Kirley Smith, like Lyle Sheldon. They've got like each 3 to 5 lawsuits each.
Wow.
But no, we've got to help the LGBT be protected more.
Yeah.
And so the last week we've been fighting off these laws, and we were sold out by the Liberals, basically.
Yeah.
And there's some major news which we just got an hour ago, which is that the whole National Party has left the front bench, including the leader of the Nationals, David Littleproud. And look, this could be big or it could be nothing, because sometimes they have these little scheduled fights, little kabuki theatre. But the Nationals and the coalition splitting is a big deal because the context right now, as you would have seen with the that news poll, was the fact that 53% of the country is voting for either the coalition or the Labor Party, which is insane that only half the country wants them. The coalition is made up of the Nationals and the Liberals, and they're only getting 21% together, whereas One Nation in their own name, one party, is getting 22%. So the Nationals splitting with the Liberal Party could be big if they ended up especially going in coalition with One Nation, splitting the country up. That could get One Nation very easily to 30% in terms of the amount of votes, 25, 30%. That's starting to get within striking distance of the Labor Party. So, but it also could be nothing. It could also be in a week they kiss and make up and they come back together. All is forgiven. This is just a play fight. We don't know, but people's confidence is shaking, and the major parties, it's a bit of a comeuppance is happening with these polls.
It's interesting because we've seen the Queensland Premier stand up and say, no, we're not going to buy into this comeback, which is pretty cool to see. I mean, when's the last time you saw a Premier with that much gusto doing something like that?
Well, you know what's funny about the gun bills? I was listening to, I think it was Tony Burke, and he was saying that with the Howard gun buyback and gun laws, it was up to the states to bring their laws into line with that batch of laws from the Port Arthur massacre. He said even the Northern Territory, they are the only state or territory that hasn't brought the laws into line even from the Howard years.
Wow.
So it actually shows you how important the state elections are, because they can still, on certain topics, say, no, we're not going to go into line with the federal government. We're not going to do these certain things. That's clearly under the Constitution a state matter for these things. And that's partly why I'm here for the South Australian state election in March. And obviously we've got Victoria in November. We got New South Wales in March next year. And so, the fight goes on.
Yeah. It's interesting because in this state, we have Alex Antic, who voted no and has been a figurehead, kind of emerged out of the shadows a little bit because he's kind of disappeared for a while, but then emerged like we needed him to.
Yeah.
And, he didn't get to deliver a speech during Parliament, but he did get to create a bit of content and share his thoughts. What is your initial take? Obviously, Australia seems outraged, or a large part of Australia seems outraged with these new laws.
Yeah.
I think National's more to do with the guns than anything, because obviously we know how much farmers like their guns and how much they need these guns to actually do the work they do. And I guess these people don't realise that they need 6 different guns because they all serve different purposes. It's not like, I'm collecting 6 guns because I'm like, I want to have fun with 6 guns. Yeah, sometimes, but most of the time it's for a serious purpose. Do you see some sort of light for the Liberal Party at all right now? Or is there any way for them to claw back some sort of resistance, especially of Alex Antic?
I don't. I think we were all thinking the same thing. The only person that could be made leader to save the Liberals was Andrew Hastie, because he's in the lower house, the House of Reps. So I don't see a situation where that's going to happen. I think at this stage the Liberal Party just signed their death warrant. That was the last nail in the coffin, as our good friend Sam did as a bit of a gimmick. And I saw Scott Challen. He was carrying a coffin. Yeah. He's saying it's a Liberal. These guys, they're funny. Aussie larrikins, Yeah. But no, I thank God we've got One Nation that's actually there.
Yeah.
Now, look, they're not perfect. They're not. Yeah. They've let us down a number of times over the last few years. But at least we can kind of use it as a bat.
Yeah.
And hit these parties that have been around for almost 100 years, like 80 years. I think the Liberal Party's been around 81 years. And say, hey, this is where the bar is. You're like down here. And that's what a lot of our election projects show with the policy matrix and the other stuff which we're working on. But no, we're in a really interesting phase of politics right now in Australia. It's very fascinating to see where things are going. And this morning I made a video talking about this disappointment. It's a place I've been in many times, whether it was the digital surveillance bill in late 2021, whether it was various COVID emergency bills that they passed, or digital ID, or the misinformation bill, which we managed to beat.
QR codes. Yep,
under 16 ban. Look, elections have consequences, and a lot of people, they think that we can fix this 40-year battle in one night, and it's like, that's not how winning's done. Winning is done by who turns up time and time again with discipline. And I think one of the encouraging things I'm seeing is a lot of Aussies that have gone overseas are coming back to Australia.
Oh, wow.
I was shocked to hear this. I was actually talking to Sterling Cooper. He's a former porn star, but he's a friend of Andrew Tate's, and he's an Aussie patriot. And I was chatting to him, and he made a really interesting point. He's already done that thing where and we've all seen the videos, people young, our age, saying, I'm going to Dubai, I'm going to this country, this low country, get rich. Yeah, but like...
Man up, bitches.
I'm going to get bitches. No, like they've gone overseas, they're enjoying the tax breaks in Dubai and whatever. And I love how he put it. Sterling was like to me, it's so soulless. So I can what? There's only so many steaks I can eat there and this and that. And it does remind me of a quote of that Pauline said. She says, look, remember where your roots come from, but your heart lies where you are prepared to die. And that is the fact of the matter here. This bill passed. Yeah, okay, cool. Am I upset? Absolutely. But it doesn't mean it's over. The ships are burnt. I'm not going anywhere. And I think the vast majority of our audience either can't go anywhere or won't go anywhere because they love this country.
And to be honest, the only reason we would, or I would go anywhere, is if I had to serve the country.
Yeah.
Like if there were laws that were so strict that it would either end me as a human being or cause me to not be able to speak, I would look at any alternative to try and serve my country. Sometimes you got to serve from afar.
Absolutely.
In a monastic way.
And look, I haven't told anyone this yet. This is the first time I'm saying it, but I was overseas for the last 2.5 months of last year. I knew I was gone because I sensed that we were getting snookered. I sensed financially we're getting snookered. They're closing a lot of the bank accounts of my sponsors, of the NSN guys, of a lot of normal people running normal businesses like short-term money lending companies like Fundo, Bashara, a friend of mine has that, and a number of other people are copying it, but also censorship online. We are seeing this accelerate, get louder and louder. And that has prompted me this year to basically go max. I think that when it comes to our job in this country, if we were waiting for this think tank or if we were waiting for this politician to step up, it's not going to happen. We've got to recognize that, every morning, the hero you're waiting for is you. You see them every morning in the mirror.
Yeah.
And we all have a different set of skills, and we've got to recognize that, and we have to understand it's going to take all of us to save this country. And so, no, look, I took it on the chin, the loss. I was like, just another day. What are we doing tomorrow? We're meeting with the minor parties in South Australia. We're trying to get them to preference each other before preferencing Labor. We've fought 15 elections as turning point in the last 4 years. No other organisation has done that at a local, state and federal level. No organisation. And the idea that the minor parties on the right that all answer yes to these policies, which you're currently writing, wouldn't preference each other before Labor or some of these radical teals or whatever is abhorrent. I think people need to know about that. And we're trying to get on the front foot here in Adelaide to make sure that that doesn't happen for the state election in South Australia. But also Victoria. Victoria is a very big one. That's going to be happening in the next few months. We're going to convene a meeting, which I hope you'll be a part of.
Yes.
And also New South Wales to get in early on it, because we have to build this movement. We need to have state coordinators, city coordinators, local coordinators, university chapters. We need to build the infrastructure which the Liberal Party used to be. They used to be 50,000 members. They used to have like a chain of command. The churches used to be stronger. The churches used to be the place that you would take petitions to. The biggest petition that was ever done in the country's history was when we had less people. It was 2 million signatures by hand.
Yeah.
It wasn't an e-petition. How did they do it? It was from the network of churches. It's from people,
Well, even this states, historically, and this is all the conspiracy people love it, the Freemasons were a huge, across all of Australia, were a huge group here. I think every premier, or a lot of the premiers in SA were Freemasons. And even our first Prime Minister was a Freemason. And he was the one that wrote the White Australia policy in the first place.
Right.
So a lot of people don't remember this. But my point is, not because they're Freemasons, but they had a large group of men who got together. They made it a secret. I'm not sure what they did. That's up to you guys to decide.
Yeah.
But they got together and they unified and they actually showed action. And that's what the one thing people ask me, what do we do, George? What do we do? The one thing you can do is be active. Go man the booths. Go hand out flyers.
Yeah.
If you want to help One Nation, ask One Nation, how do I help you?
Yeah.
Because the thing is, as you just said, no one's going to help you but you. You are really the only king in your own life.
Yeah.
There is only you, and that's it. If you don't go and do some work, you will suffer. All of us will suffer.
Yeah, and if you're not sure what to do, first things first. I mean, if you're listening to this, you're in the right place. Sign up. Head to tpaust.com.au. Sign up. Stay in touch. We'll connect you with like-minded people. But for people that are out there, I would be saying go and connect with people of the same mind. Because you may not know what to do, but once you build that network of people, it makes it very easy for you to very mobily say, I want to go here and do that. Hey, those 5 friends that we catch up every couple of weeks, let's go do this, let's go do that, let's man 5 booths,
And you got to give credit to the Greens and give credit to the Labor Party. This is what they do so well. Yeah. There is a reason why the Palestinian protests in Melbourne were the longest running protests in the world.
Yeah.
Because they were unified. They got together under a banner. You might not agree with the banner, but you know what? They had a huge impact on the city, and they are crushing it in Victoria.
Yeah.
So we have to take, and that's why I wanted to bring up the history, not to like poke fun, but to say that sometimes you got to do what the enemy does. You got to gather in large groups, that collectivism idea. You got to gather in large groups under a unified thing and focus on that thing until you achieve that goal. It might take years, it might take months. It could take just a few weeks. You never know. You just got to start. I guess that's the big message with Turning Point as well, is that for there to be a turning point, it starts with you at home.
Yeah, well, one of the documents I'm looking forward to coming out with soon is I've been working on it over the summer, the strategic overview, which I think you might have seen the video for. Yeah, look, man, it's become apparent to me that we have to take things to the next level. It's got to be done. I would have been perfectly happy just being a YouTuber and just making a bit of money, selling a bit of merch, enjoying my new career path, but it's not actually going to solve the problem. So leaning into Turning Point and the Light Australian newspaper is something that we're going to be doing a lot more this year. And so I've got like this 100-page document for donors, small and large, to basically show, hey, this is what we're doing. Are you on board? Now, some people will come in and be like, well, I like that, but I want you to do this. That's not how we work. We have an agenda. We have a skill set. We know what we need to do. We have the personnel to do it. And part of the problem is there are so many competent people in the private sector that the only way to get them into politics, their skill sets that they have in various areas, is if you pay them. And so it's like, well, we need to make sure we get our funding right. And that's what we've been working on.
And another thing that's important to mention, and I'm going to say this to the audience and for you as well, Joel, is that there are people that exist in Australia who keep their head down, who are conservatively minded, who have God in their heart or Christ in their heart, and they didn't go the route we took, where we were quite open and wanted to get out there and put our name out there straight away. These people have kept their heads down, played the game, worked their way up in industries. And if that industry is marketing, if it's finance, if it's banking, they've sat there, they've done the hard yards, they've made lots of money, they've made lots of success. They were never openly political ever in their lives, but deep down they're one of us. And they're waiting for an opportunity to come out and finally execute what they've been waiting for their entire lives. And we're talking to you guys because we need you now more than ever. Enough just sitting there. It's time. We are asking for you guys to come out, essentially.
Yeah. Like if you're waiting for your moment to come out, like that, now's the time.
Yeah,
like,
come out.
Like the country's burning. Like, and that's the thing. A lot of people, like, and again, I'll go back to Sterling Cooper. This guy's got money. He could live pretty much anywhere. The idea that he's telling me Dubai's soulless, why would I go here and there? I want to go to the place I was raised. I want to go to the place where, I can walk down the street with my family and feel safe and raise my kids and whatever. I totally agree with that. And I think that the idea that, you're going to be selfish, make a lot of money, go overseas.
Build a bunker. That's why I heard stories. People are like, I'm going to build a bunker. And then they realize when they're building the bunker, wait, what am I building a bunker for? There's not going to be no one left.
Yeah, well, yeah. But also, like, my uncle said this to me over the holiday. He said, Joel, I said to him, I'm getting a bit of a pull to understand the Middle East a bit better. Obviously, I'm a Semitic person. I'm from my dad is from the Levant region, and so is my mum. They're Syrian and Lebanese. I get a big. I'm going on 29 in March. And I'm getting a big draw to understand where I come from, who I am, the origins of Christianity in our family, the wars that they fought in, and our lineage. And Aussies will have that too on their country here, like I feel it here as well. And I do feel that that's where the sadness comes from. I don't think it's an option to leave and basically not fight for this country. I actually don't think it's an option. I don't think you'll be happy. I think that you would actually be happier to try and help save this country. It won't be easy and a walk in the park. And don't get me wrong, you should take care of yourself financially and your family, and you got to do what you got to do. But at the same time, even the guys that go on like Sterling Cooper and make a lot of money, they still find their way coming back here.
Yeah.
And saying, we've got to save this country. I think he's going to do a lot more content this year, he was saying to me.
That's good.
So man on the street sort of stuff, which I think he'd be really good at.
We need that. We are seeing a rise in the, I guess, influencer sphere. And that's an important part. But even for the salt of the earth people, there is, like, I want to reach out to the bourgeois and the elites who've been waiting. But it's not just the elites. And when I say elites, I mean people who have led their industries very far and wide, have done the hard yards. Obviously, we want them on board. We want these people part of the Salt of the Earth movement because they are one of us. They just do it a different way. But even those people who didn't want to dedicate their life to necessarily the industry or the career, who are just Australians who maybe live out in the bush or have a farm or just live in the suburbs and they're just content with their family and that's all it is. Well, we don't want you to lose that life that you have.
Yeah.
And there's a real risk that maybe not right now, but in 10, 20, 30 years, that will slowly disappear. And your kids, your grandchildren will never get to experience any of that.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's something that, you guys really want.
Just to change tact here, I've got to say, it was very funny this week going back and forth with Chocky with the whole, that email thing we were pushing, the 24 hours. So it was 11 o'clock on the Sunday night, and I realized I had something niggly in my brain. I'd been working all weekend, and I was calling out Julian Lisa, the Jewish Liberal member, and he was rallying Liberal votes, and that was my first inkling that the Liberals are going to help pass this thing. And I just realized on Sunday night, when I should have probably been having a break, something was bugging me. I didn't understand what they were going to change in the bill. What was it? Because he said, we're going to get rid of this. Turned out he was only getting rid of Part 5 of Schedule 1. And it was in that moment I realised, oh no, they're going to use the Liberals to pass this and the Greens to pass that, which now we know is exactly what happened. Working with Chocky and getting all those people that perhaps weren't politically engaged previously was a huge win. Because I believe to an extent the reason why the Nationals are splitting with the Liberals right now is because they copped all of those emails right now. And it was really funny. Just one of the funny things about this whole ordeal was the website developer we worked with that built that site, he just totally crashed everything, and they crashed the servers so you got to imagine, you got the company, they've got multiple clients, and then there's this one client, which is us. I give them this last minute, and they did a love job for us. It was a love job. My good old friend Emilio at Overton Solutions, and Emilio he's a great guy. Like, the amount of times he's helped me with a last minute project is phenomenal. And then Chocky rocks up, like in that meme with the aircraft carrier. The memes of like when you're a polar bear in Greenland and you hear America coming, it's like these aircraft carriers, and he just totally crashed the whole system. It turns out that we ended up sending 2.7 million emails because it didn't pick up on the fact that a lot of people were using ad blockers initially. And so he adjusted it, and then he realized it was actually more like 3 mil.
Wow.
That is a real win.
It's huge.
That is something people perhaps have never done in their life. And for you and me, like we've done a few of these things. We're sending that. But I think we forget sometimes that we are actively in real time gamifying politics for people where they can get engaged and they don't need us next time. They can just do it. And educating people, that's the job.
Yeah.
That's the job. And so, I enjoyed making a lot of memes this week with Chocky. So
help of the others. But I pose a question to you. This is a very kind of out there question. How far does this government have to go before we know enough is enough?
I think people underestimate how fragile Australia is.
Yeah.
Our society. When the bishop was stabbed in the eye, I didn't realise how on edge and how much of a powder keg Western Sydney was, we had imams that had stupidly sent voice messages on WhatsApp that were going viral that ended up getting out. They were meant to stay within the Muslim community. That Christians in the Western Sydney were sending me and saying, and this was the imam saying, "Get ready, this might be our moment where we actually have to like defend ourselves, basically get your guns together, sort of thing, like a jihad or something." And Christians, there is a whole network of Christians that are looking after their churches. They've all got guns. They're all gun owners. And then there's the Indians and their fights as well in Western Sydney. We actually don't have enough police in New South Wales to deal with this, like, at all, if it totally breaks out. And to make matters worse, in the last podcast I was here, we talked about fuel security. If we don't have fuel, we don't have food. If we don't have food, the biggest population centre, Sydney, it's going to be a dog-eat-dog world.
Yeah.
And all of these, when you're in an inconvenient situation with people where you're stuck in an elevator or this or that, everyone gets a little bit shitty with each other.
Yeah.
Imagine that, but now you don't have food for your kids. Like, people will tear each other apart, like we saw in COVID over toilet paper.
Yeah.
And so, by the way, we're coming out with toilet paper for Turning Point,
Good.
Toilet Paper Australia. So
Yeah,
we're
good.
there.
We need it.
Oh, you do. It's got Alvo's face on it.
Good.
Anyways, that's a little spoiler for you guys coming out soon. But no, I don't think we realise how on edge we are from actual total collapse. And I do have contingency plans, and a lot of Christians in Sydney do. But
Is it really that bad in Sydney? Because you remember, I'm in my little South Australian bubble. I've only been when I go to Sydney, I'm not hanging out. I'm not going to the western suburbs. I'm hanging out in Double Bay. I'm by the harbour.
It's the epicenter. I wouldn't say it's the epicenter of corruption, because Melbourne's pretty bad too. But it's the epicenter of a lot of. It's where the power hub in this country is. I've always said it. Canberra is not the power hub, and Melbourne certainly isn't. Sydney is the power hub of the financials, of, where immigration can be really, you get it everywhere. The centers of the Middle Easterners, the Asians, the everything. And you got a lot of corruption in Sydney as well. You've got the bikies there in force. You've got different bikie groups. You got gangland shootings every week. You're getting hits on Middle Eastern Christians in Western Sydney where it's, they got the wrong guy. You've got the police that are corrupt, all the way from the bottom guys. They confiscate drugs and then they give it to the illegal markets. And then at the top of the police, you've got the police commissioners who are totally corrupt. It's a very political position. They pursue and they shut down things, people like me, because politicians tell them to do it. And on top of that, you've got property developers and bikies in bed together, plus with the Liberal Party, Labor in bed with the unions are goons. It's a dog-eat-dog world, in short. And Melbourne's no better. It's in some ways worse. It's not as bad because Labor and the unions dominate. That's why they've just killed the opposition.
And there's too many gay people there as well.
Yeah, well,
so they're not going to do much.
Yeah, well,
bit of Chapel Street on Saturday night.
Yeah, but like injection rooms, Sudanese gangs, sword fights.
Revs.
It's just
ketamine.
Yeah, I mean, and this is during peace times. I mean, imagine what would happen if there was a shortage of food because of no diesel.
Well, people only know what is now good. Peace and a bit of serenity. You don't know, and if you look at human history, you study even the last 10,000 years, and it's a bit of a macro length in this, things can flip very quickly.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it in Iran. We saw it in Nepal. We saw it in all these countries where things can go dark overnight, and it can be caused by another country. Like, any superpower can turn off your power. Like what America did to Venezuela, they swooped in there. They used hypersonic frequency sounds that literally made all the soldiers vomit and fall to the ground. Swooped in there, stole a leader of a country from his bed, put him in a Nike tracksuit, made it into a marketing ad for Nike, and then brought him back to America in the space of 4 hours? Pete, that can happen anywhere. Trump wants to get Greenland. What's if he wants Tasmania one day? Sorry, Tasmania, but you're confident.
I just want him to kidnap Albo. I mean, I'm not even joking. Like,
Could you imagine?
give me a Bible. It's
Yeah.
no. Look, I think that Trump needs to come good on his promise about going after Western countries that don't ensure free speech to their citizens. I mean, you see what they want to bring democracy to certain Middle East countries, and then meanwhile, Australia is one of the US's greatest allies, if not the best ally.
Yeah. And we have Pine Gap here, guys. Don't forget.
We've got Pine Gap. But we've been in every war with them since Second World War, and we don't have free speech.
Yeah.
And
we haven't had it for a while.
No.
Since 2006, 7?
Yeah.
These Commonwealth 1995, I guess. These laws have always been draconian. They've always been a little bit out there. I mean, we've never really truly had free speech in like the way America has, of course. And even in our constitution, it's quite vague. But the laws here have been really crazy for a while, and they're going to intensify and get worse. I guess what we're seeing geopolitically now, I want to kind of finish on this, is kind of, let's get out of Australia for a bit. And let's talk about, we're seeing the might of countries now flexing. Everyone is flexing. Iran is flexing. You've got America flexing like a way we've never seen. Venezuela, like I said, now they're talking about Greenland. Europe's like freaking out. You've got the UAE, you've got Saudis. They're all at battle with Israel. What do you think's happening? What's caused this flex situation that everyone wants to be the mighty one?
I think we're on the clock.
Yeah.
I think we're on the clock. I think that if you divide it in terms of spheres of influence, you've got the US is trying to secure the Western Hemisphere, being North America, South America, all the way through, because they've got a lot of countries in their pocket, in South America. Venezuela was one they needed to add to their little gauntlet. Israel, same thing. They're getting, not even like they're desperate, they're in a rush. And like, this is a country that's been micro-built, growing their empire. They want this greater Israel sort of area. I recently learned that's what their flag is. The two blue lines is the Nile and the River Euphrates.
Oh.
I didn't know that. And I was like,
wow, that's actually mind-blowing.
Yeah, well,
It's kind of foreshadowing.
Well, I have a problem with that. I don't think Israel should be an empire. I think that they're lucky enough that they have the area that they have, and they don't treat the people under them very well either. But the idea that they are getting desperate and they're invading southern Lebanon. They've have this massive buffer zone over Syria, the size of like Tasmania, like a massive buffer zone. And they're taking more land there in the Golan Heights, and they've taken over the Gaza Strip, and they've got plans for south of them as well, and obviously Iran to move east.
UAE, what's happening there? Who's supplying UAE with all these weapons? How is UAE going into Sudan, taking their gold and killing Christians at some?
Yeah.
What?
And that's the other thing, more tension with Turkey. Israel has now built a coalition between, Israel's built this coalition, become very friendly with Syria. They built this coalition with Cyprus and Greece.
Yep.
And so like Israel's in a rush to secure their sphere of influence. Russia's in a rush. They want to make sure that they secure their cold seaports, dry seaports. I forgot what you call it. Some of their seaports in the north they can't use because it freezes over.
Yeah.
So they need the Black Sea because it's the only way to get their ships out. Basically, they're securing these strategic entities and whatever. And then there's China. What's everything that's happening in the South China Sea? And then there's Europe.
And China's dangling the carrot to Europe.
Yeah, exactly.
If America keeps pushing Greenland, China's playing to play the patient game. They're going to wait, and then Europe's going to one day have to make a decision. Do we stay with the Americans, or do we go be a baby to China? That's going to be interesting, I think. I think that's China's play. I think China wants Europe. That's deep down.
Right. So look, again, I'm no geopolitical expert, but I just sense there's a reason these things are happening, and it all seems to be moving in the direction of the big war, 2027. For some time now, our intelligence agencies and military generals have been saying that, and in America as well, they've been saying that, look, there's going to be an invasion of Taiwan by 2027.
Yeah.
Now, that's a pretty, definite, that's going to happen. The idea that they're saying that. X's top 10 issues, most of the issues are internal issues. Best way that he can distract from them is actually by going after Taiwan and outside problems, and wants to reunify China. And again, guys, to be clear, Taiwan is the original Chinese government. They were the ones that were forced out. Our government and the US government won't acknowledge that publicly because it's I don't know, walking on eggshells thing. All of a sudden you won't be able to get all your T-shirts and stuff, basically, if you criticize China. So no, I feel like they're gearing up for the big war, and that's why the rush. But I'm really worried about our military capability. Australia's in no way ready.
No.
And guess who's going to have to die? It's going to be all the patriots that watch our channels.
Yeah.
And I do feel like that is the Great Reset. It is the wiping out, just like in World War I and II, of the best men, the bravest men, the smartest men of society. And it'll make the world, it is a clean slate once you do that. You sanitize your countries of courage. It allows you to control people better. And
yeah, well, that's what we saw, will happen in Russia now. Millions and millions, and Ukraine, millions and millions of Caucasian men.
Yeah. Christian men. Orthodox
men just massacring themselves.
Yeah. So, look, it does keep me up at night a little bit because I'm living in in Sydney, in the most populated city in Australia, in a country. Mike Burgess, all the crap we give Mike Burgess, head of ASIO. He said something interesting in a conversation with John Anderson. He said, we used to have a war preparation book where in the 60s was the last few years that they did it. They used to do it every year. Yeah, and it tells you how to basically, what do you do when there's shortage of water and this and that. That's what keeps me up at night, that sort of stuff, because it can change on a dime. And look at how much contempt the government treats you just with speech. Imagine how they'll divvy up assets and resources, and when scarcity sets in.
The reality is, though, guys, and this is going to sound a bit strange, but do not be afraid of this life. God's love is perfect. It is forever. And you are here to serve your purpose, whatever that looks like in its destiny. And there's no reason to fear death. I know that sounds kind of somber, but you've all have lived great lives in your own way, even the ones who have done and sinned quite horribly. You've all deserved that life in some way. So whatever happens moving forward, there is hope there. And if you have God in your heart, if Christ in your heart truly, there should be nothing in this world you should be afraid of ever. Nothing. Not even the worst war. Sounds bad, sounds like propaganda, but it isn't. I just want you to be at peace that same to you, because if it is keeping us all up at night, then you're not going to get very good sleep.
No. Look, yeah, it doesn't actually keep you up at night. But look, if I think about it for long enough, it's like, maybe we should have some plan Bs, and I do have plan Bs, but they're all on Aussie soil.
Yeah,
they're all on Aussie soil because this is a massive continent. There's so much. If you know how to fish, for example, there's so much coastline where there's barely any people.
Yeah, you
could live a very good life. I'm lucky. I've got those skills, those survival skills, let's say. While I was on holidays, I hadn't fished in 5 years, and I was able to go and do some fishing, and I finally got to do some worming. I don't know if you know what worming is.
How was that? You had fun with that?
It was awesome. I actually caught my first 2 worms ever, because when I was growing up, I'd go with some of my relatives, cousins and that, and I wasn't the first to catch the first few worms. It was some of my other cousins, and so I would be the one with the stinker going along the water, and they'd be just picking them up really quickly. So I never actually got around to doing it, but I knew how to do it. So I finally got the opportunity to try, and I did. I pulled 2 worms up. They were freaking huge.
Freaking out. They look so weird though when you pull them out.
Yeah, no, they're all I'm very familiar with worms because obviously with fishing you chuck them on the hook, but to actually pull one out is so satisfying because a worm could be multiple fish. A worm is a meal. A worm is like, I can feed my family sort of thing. And it's like a living off the land, bush tucker. Like, you know what I mean? But like there's a satisfaction and there's like a confidence you have when you're able to do that because it means that, it's an extra feather in your cap to survive if things go bad. And so it's like, let's say you learn how to light a fire with the sticks like that, moving up and down with the stick, and you're actually able to do it without a cigarette lighter that relies on, the liquid fuel. The idea that you can do that is like, wow, that's awesome. That's another thing I can do to stay warm or to whatever. That's the sort of stuff that I love. Yeah.
So I guess, guys, what I'm hearing, Joel at least, is get some Bear Grill.
Yeah, right.
Start watching some Bear Grill.
Learn in your skill every day. Yeah, why not?
You got to.
Why not?
To be honest, let's hope we don't have to be picking worms on the beach. Let's hope we can have a turning point in this country. We'll close on just quickly the state, South Australia. Obviously, you mentioned we have big interview tomorrow with everyone. Big plans. What do you see? What do you prophesize for this state election March, honestly? What do you think can happen? Or what can we do at least? What's the best outcome for us?
Look, man, we can't bullcrap the audience here. The South Australia is facing a serious wipeout for the Liberal Party, especially after what the Liberal Party have just done. We need to stem the bleeding, basically. This will be either a total wipeout or a minor wipeout. We need to get them all to preference each other. If we can do that, we can stem the bleeding and it won't be as bad, and then we can get them next time. But if we don't do that, we'll have some serious problems. We know they've passed funding legislation, so they're going to, next election, have less funds to work with.
Yeah.
That's my big concern here. And the last thing I want to see is South Australia become a one-party state for Labor. So we need to do what we can to get all these minor parties to work together and, try and achieve an outcome, basically. And that's the other thing. Didn't we learn something interesting after our last interview? The idea that Senator Antic voted against the bill, which wasn't what the Liberal Party wanted him to do, they are looking for revenge. And I'm going to say it here and now. It's not impossible that there is a federal intervention to take over the South Australian branch of the Liberal Party. It's not impossible that Susan Ley seeks revenge for Alex Antic and his allies in South Australia that back him up. And they will blame, it's astonishing, they will blame the loss in South Australia on him and on them, while she's doing all this other stuff at a federal level, splitting up the Nationals, voting against things that are against the Liberal Party values, the Menzies We Believe statement. But she will go and she will come here and she will take all the Liberal Party, assets and business and membership and kick Antic out, make sure he doesn't win pre-selection again. They'll change the rules so that they put the moderates in control, the lefties. That's my big concern. And so Antic, he might have to go his own way with the South Australian Liberals here, depending on how the next few months go. So we're at a very interesting impasse right now.
Yes. I would say, for me, I'd say the biggest concern coming out of South Australia, I agree with the election. I think it is going to be a stem the bleed. But more importantly, I think with what the Premier has put forth with this legislation that he got through, with the way funding and donations work, you think this bill was bad, guys? This hate speech bill was bad. This groups bill is bad. It is bad because it's going to lead to UK 2.0. If we federalize this type of legislation across every state, across federal government, we essentially live in North Korea. Because there will be no way in hell that any party could ever get another dollar or cent to make any real challenge. It will be done. Yeah. It's game over. So it's in this state now. It's essentially game over here in terms of, like, if you're a party, you get given 10 grand, 5 grand for registration, you're left for $5,000. You can't take massive political donations. What are you going to do? You're suffocated. unless you have a huge network, you can somehow.
Yeah.
It's game over here. They will bring this to every state, and the Premier is going to call this a victory. You already sent it with the sub 16 social bill. The Premier is gallivanting around saying, look at me, look how awesome I am.
Yeah. Well, look, this is why we fight all the elections, because you can learn different tactics from different states. So in this state, you've got the worst donation laws and how to vote card laws, whereas in New South Wales, we've got the strictest tracking of donations and accountability. I'm really excited about the solutions we can bring to this. Can we just take a moment to remember how funny it was when we announced that you were going to be the South Australian and the head of Turning Point in South Australia, and all the media were like, but you got to register. But you got to do it. It's just like, what did I say to you? I was like, well, no shit, guys. Of course you've got to register. We've only fought 15 elections. We know we have to register. Anyways, it's just, the medias are just like, they'd be like, oh, but he hasn't registered yet. It's like, they don't know what they're doing.
I still can't believe how far they went to shut us down in losing the account within 2 hours.
Yeah,
taking a week to get that thing back.
The other thing was the fact that the socialists started up a party here the day after or something. They're like, we got to counter, Turning Point.
Yeah.
We got to go after those Americans.
I can't believe it. It was like a direct attack.
Yeah, I was just like, that's great.
We're building culture here, guys. We're cultural builders.
Yeah, well, it's Pampernine Theatre. We feed off each other. The left and the...
Look, Messi, Ronaldo. Messi, Ronaldo.
But you know what's funny? I was thinking about, going back to the hate speech laws, and I'm sure we're going to wrap this up. Wasn't it funny, the fact that when the Thomas Sowell, and you remember that scene where they're beating up the Antifa guys in a very epic video?
I loved it. Metaphorically.
And the Nazis are opposing the hate speech laws. Antifa were also opposing those anti-Semitism laws. And we are opposing the anti-Semitism laws. How is it all three of us who couldn't agree with we don't agree on anything, the three of these different groups, and we all disagree with the Prime Minister
it's like a love
and these laws? It's weird.
It's funny.
We're all radicals, apparently.
The sad thing is, we tried to warn them, we tried to help them. We said, guys, you don't need. This is the problem. Everyone, this is the Antifa and NSA guys. You want to do this accelerationist? Make it as bad as possible, as quick as possible.
Yeah.
If you do it too quick, you're going to get a rhodesia. If the wound is too deep, you'll never get this country back.
Yeah.
And what happened is the country was gone. We lost Rhodesia forever. South Africa's... Don't turn Australia into the next South Africa.
Yeah. I saw this week, because they've obviously got... next Monday is Australia Day, and they've got... Yeah, I'm excited for that, and hence the socks.
Yep, the socks.
Yes, we both have these beautiful socks on. But look, I'm worried about So the NSN guys are going to cop it a lot. And look, you may not like them. To be clear, I think they want to deport both of us. Definitely me.
I think I'm a Jewish Zionist.
They do?
Because of my nose, guys.
Yeah?
A Roman nose.
Oh, God. They think I'm Jewish. And I'm like, I'm not Jewish, but I am Semitic.
Well, know what that means.
They don't know what we're dealing with.
I'm not Jewish, but I'm anti-Semitic.
I won't call them. I won't call them stupid, but they just... Anyways, no, look, I found out this week, someone tweeted, I think it was Selena, she's an Instagrammer. She said that they're preventing some of the NSN members and leaders of the protest in Sydney from going to the protest for Australia Day or the parade or whatever it is. And they've given them, they've threatened them with 5 years jail or something if they go within the 5 kilometers of
the radius, yeah.
The radius thing.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how Tim Wilms remembers this. He's a guy that runs the, I think it's called the Unshackled TV or something. He remembered that happened to me during COVID. And I learnt a lot about this thing at the time. During COVID, there was a protest that I wasn't planning it, someone else was planning it in the city. And the police came to my house and asked me all these questions, which I didn't say anything. I didn't even know anything. But they were saying, well, you're not allowed to go. We're serving you with this. These were police officers from the city. Because I spoke at the town hall one a month before, and they gave me this sheet, and they threatened me with 5 years jail, which I uploaded all this to the website this week. And if you go here, we're going to throw you in jail. I remember giving that to Mark Latham, and George Christensen gave it to Mark Latham. And Mark said, hang on, you mean to tell me if Joel wants to come to the parliament, I can't have him here because he'll be thrown in the prison because that falls within the 5 kilometre radius. And George said, yeah. If you go there between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., that's what happens. So I asked my lawyers, who were very good lawyers, about this, and they said this is something very common that they slap onto bikies to stop them from attending certain high-profile, high-stakes sort of meetings, which I was just like, I'm just talking about stuff online. I'm not like threatening anyone. I've never hit anyone. You know, I don't know what the...
Because you're Saudi.
It's like, it's because I'm Semitic. Well, like, where are we at that, like, I am going to make a series of sounds and you're going to say, well, if you make those series of sounds or attend this area, you're going to jail for 5 years.
That is Australia, though. That is literally how it's been like that for a very long time. I just need to remind people, the Australia you think you are in that is what it is. We've been in this world for a long time. We're just getting a wake-up call again to the real state of this country. And we saw it in Victoria when they shot rubber bullets at our citizens for standing at a shrine.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't forget that, guys. That wasn't that long ago. Actually, it's 7 years almost.
They damaged the Shrine of Remembrance. They damaged the Anzac Shrine of Remembrance. And you know what's interesting about that shrine? That is one of the monuments that was built and funded by the citizens. They paid for it, they built it, it was land that they owned. I think that's astonishing that they used to do that. But no, they also accused the protesters of pissing on the shrine as well. When that's not what happened, the horses actually pissed on the shrine. And so, no, these guys are, they're not good news.
No.
But I'm excited, man. Hey, like,
we're excited.
Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't know if there's something wrong with me, but I love the fight. And it's like, I think it was something Augusto Zimmerman said to me, Professor Augusto Zimmerman. He said, you know, Joel, he was a little bit drunk when he said this, but he said, I just can't think of a more, he's Brazilian. He's got like a bit of an accent. I can't think of a more exciting time to be alive than to take down a totalitarian government. And he's a professor of law. Like, he's a constitutional law expert. And look, don't get me wrong. I hate that the economy's bad because it means it's hurting families and people can't put food on the table for their kids and, you know, people can't get mortgages and all that sort of stuff. But there reaches a point of, you know, skullduggery where it's just a joke. Everything is a joke and it's just funny. And it's just like they're going after us for making a series of sounds with our voice. It's just like, what are you doing? Albanese's trying to outlaw memes because he was put in a bikini. It's just like the emperor has no clothes. It's like Xi Jinping getting annoyed with him looking like Winnie the Pooh. It's like, and then they say this is a democracy. Like, we're in funny times. So you have to give me this because that's how you survive.
But I would say one thing that is slightly, I'm not playing devil's advocate here. In the word of Logos, as I've been studying in ancient Christianity, when Christ said, or when God said, let there be light, and let's go back to Genesis, it was the Logos of the word that creates reality. So your energy of your word, so E equals MC squared. Why is Albert Einstein so famous for E equals MC squared? Because he realized that energy creates mass and mass creates energy, and they are reversed. So if your words and thoughts are energy, then they can create mass. There's a polarity there. So your words can form in theoretical physics into energy in some way. Yeah. And it might not be a direct translation. I can't say there's going to be an elephant. I want there to be an elephant here, and an elephant's going to pop out of nowhere. And it's not like that. It's a thing that might take 20 years, 100 years, or thousands of years. Yeah. So I think when Albanese is thinking, oh my God, they want to put me in a bikini, there must be a part of your subconscious going, they actually are going to put me in a bikini. He must think that. Because we are manifesting very hard right now to put that man in a bikini. And it wouldn't be the first time we've had a prime minister who likes wearing bikinis.
Yeah.
I mean, budgie smugglers. But, sorry, Tony Abbott. Was it Tony Abbott? No.
It was Tony Abbott.
Yeah, sorry, Tony Abbott. But there's a bit of foreshadowing here. But I think it would be quite symbolic if one day Albanese came out as transgender and put on a bikini.
Yes.
Do you think?
Well, he would be like Jesus. Like he would be like what do they call it? He'd be like Jesus in the in that sort of gay world. Intersectionality.
Yeah.
He'd be intersectional sort
I
of
can see it
Jesus.
happening. I think Albanese is secretly. I think the reason why he's so upset is because he knows deep down that's his true self.
Yeah.
That's who he truly wants to be. He wants to be a man in a bikini.
That's it.
Maybe that's why why would he be so upset? It makes no sense. You only get upset about something if it's truthful.
Yeah.
And there must be an element of truth. Choco must have tapped into his subconscious.
He did. Yeah. Choco's like, that man would look nice in a bikini. That's why there's all those banners. And so,
he's loving it.
Yeah, he goes to Bondi Beach with a banner. And it's not the last one because it's literally like, oh, this is what you don't like. Well, I'm going to do more of it.
Well, to be fair, like Albanese needs to realise after everything that's happened at Bondi, we've had 4 shark attacks in 24 hours all over New South Wales beaches, mass shootings. You know what? How about Albanese? You cop this one and let us put some posters up because it's fun again. Bondi's fun again now. Yeah. You know, it's kind of removed the darkness of Bondi, and we fill it up with beautiful pictures of Albanese in a bikini. I think, you know what, Choco? Thank you. Thank you for bringing Bondi back to what it used to be.
Yeah, Choco's a good sport. He's good. He's good fun. Who says the larrikin spirit is dead? You know what they were doing in the UK? They had their potholes weren't being fixed. At the time, they were doing the hoist the colours thing. The Turning Point UK guys were doing the hoist the colours thing.
Yeah.
So in order to get the potholes fixed, and they were pulling down all the flags. The councils were pulling down these flags of the British. The English flag, which is the white flag with the red cross, St. George's Cross. And so what they were doing was they were like, well, we need these potholes to be fixed. They'd spray the pothole white and then do the red cross.
Like,
and then the pothole would get very quickly. And so I saw some in Victoria, there was some protests this last week by some bikies that were just really annoyed that potholes weren't being fixed because it's quite dangerous. There are a number of victims that have been hurt. If you don't want to do the St. George's Cross thing, if you draw a penis onto the pavement, it is the best way to get the council to clean it up. Because there's always going to be someone out there. I'm Karen. God bless you, Karens. I love you. I've got a few of them in my audience. That's like my key demographic. But I've got a few of them in my audience that, like people out there, they would actually report it and councils would fix it.
That's amazing. So what I'm hearing is, through these new hate speech and hate symbol laws, if you go around drawing swastikas on all the potholes in Sydney, you're going to have fantastic infrastructure.
Look, I'm about results here. All right. I want us to be like Singapore. So I think that we need to, improve that. But I feel like I'm rambling now. But listen, man. Look, I'm looking forward to this meeting tomorrow. I think that we can get some serious results and set the tone for the other states, Victoria and New South Wales after. And I think people are ready. Some people, they haven't been ready for some time. They've been a bit switched off. They've just been trying to survive, and I get it. But they are starting to ask questions. Why is it that, this crackhead can go here and stab a person, and then they get bail? Whereas, if I want to go and camp here, I can't because the ranger said I can't. The government have closed the parks. Or, I've gone 3Ks over the limit and I get the full course of, weight of the law comes down on me and I've lost my license. I can't put food on the table. All the drowsiness cameras that they have now, all the seatbelt cameras that they have now. Phone camera. Yeah. And so this is, everyone has a different reason for waking up, and we're seeing that. And it's very exciting because Australians are waking up and our army's getting bigger, and the polls are going in one direction, which is that the Liberal Party and the Labor Party, they only make up 53%, less than 53% of the vote. And, these are parties that used to have 95% of the vote combined, so we're at a very serious impasse.
So it looks like we are at a turning point here in Australia, guys. And thank you, Joel, for coming today again. And guys, we're going to be planning on doing a lot more episodes together moving forward. We have a lot of work to do, not just in the state, but across Australia, across Oceania, across the world. Don't just... No, we want to have big impact on this world. And we saw with Joel's fantastic work, with Turning Point's fantastic work, 2.7 million people stepping up, everyday Australians stepping up, and you guys did have a result. You might not see it straight away.
Yeah, who knows?
But the impact is wide. I said, guys, a smile can change someone's life. 2.7 million emails can change a country. So thank you very much for everything you guys did. Joel, is there anything else you want to say before I say?
No, look, guys, I'm looking forward to coming back in 2 weeks. We got a lot of great feedback. I can't remember how many views we got on the last podcast, but I was actually quite stoked with the amount of views. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll do this again. Forgive me if we're a little bit low on energy. The last week has been crazy. We worked through the weekend because of this bill. I promise you we'll have a bit more to talk about and share on what we've been working on the last 2 weeks next time we come. But no, thanks for having me, man. And let's see if we can crack some of these parties over the head and put some sense into them.
Let's do it.
See you, mate.
Thank you. Let's go.
Do you want to do that again? Oh my God, I was not happy with that. All right, what did we say last time? Let's go to the casino. Let's go blow some money on the casino.